Hello? I just got off the chair I was standing on to do my Transformers. So, I have a Black Series collection. It's not expansive or anything. It's not that big. It's just you'll notice, I don't have a lot of movie characters in here. It's all like TV show characters. So, I discussed slightly my problems with like the Hot Rod controversy in Transformers. I have a similar one with Star Wars, because everybody's like, well, the sequel trilogy sucks. It's like, yeah, it does. And, 20 years ago, everybody was like, those prequel movies suck because they're too campy, they're too funny. He's trying to do like cartoon stuff in it. It's like, yeah, I get that too. Now, at the time, as a kid, I actually liked Jar Jar. He kept my attention. And not a lot of people trash the original movies. My controversial opinion on Star Wars is all of the movies suck. Just all of them. And you can argue with me. I know that would be a hot button issue for some collectors. Yeah, all of the Star Wars movies suck. The original movies were made in the 70s, and they definitely feel like it. That's not saying that George Lucas did bad on the FX thing, that's not what I'm saying. Because at the end of the day, that's what George Lucas is an FX guy. A writer, though, not as much. But the original Star Wars, you can just feel that 70s movie pacing. And I hate that. It just fills me with an amount of, like, right in the center of my chest. Every time I see that kind of pacing happening, and it's not justified, it definitely feels, I can feel it. So, plus, Luke Skywalker, you'll see I have Luke Skywalker. This is the Mandalorian Luke Skywalker, which is the only reason I have it. I have it because I wanted the Grogu accessories. I have it because he got cheaper. And I have it because, at the end of the day, Luke Skywalker is Star Wars. He was the first main character. He may not be the first person you think of. Darth Vader, takes that cake, but I hate Luke Skywalker. I never liked him. He goes from being this annoying teen that doesn't know anything that's going on, saying stupid things, and everybody giving him stupid looks. And he's whiny. He's stupid. And then, all of a sudden, Return of the Jedi, he's super enlightened. He's, holier than thou. And I hate those characters, too. I hate those characters that come in and act like that. Especially when you haven't shown us any reason why a character deserves to act like that. You kind of get it with Obi-Wan. You meet him, he's already this wizened old man, has this age about him. It's like, I just hate that, how do I put it? It's like the stereotype of a Buddhist, and they just sit there, and you can say whatever you want, and then they give you fortune cookie wisdom. And I hate those characters. So Luke Skywalker, hated him. Han Solo, supposed to be likable. He's a thief. He's a lowlife. They specifically tell you that. And just because he comes back to help them out because, I made friends now, doesn't mean that he's a better person. He's very much not a better person. Plus Harrison Ford just, he hates the characters he's played. He hates his fans. It's not, now anytime they put him in a movie, he demands that they kill him so he doesn't ever have to do it again. It's like, come on, man. But yeah, so I keep going back and forth on what I want this collection to be, because the things that I do like about Star Wars are the TV shows. I love the Clone Wars. I loved Rebels. I even like some of the modern TV shows. I know that a lot of people don't like the modern TV shows, but I see what they were trying to do. Just because they're written poorly doesn't mean that they don't have a point. I mean, people hated that Boba Fett show, right? But I see what they were doing. They wanted to make Boba Fett the kingpin of Tatooine. They wanted to replace Jabba the Hutt. Did they do it right? Absolutely not. He should have started out that series being that violent, angry bounty hunter that everybody wanted to see, and then slowly work his way into being on the chair, you know? Actually show us. Because his whole thing in that show was, bounty hunters don't get to choose their own life. They're paid to go out and possibly die. And we don't see any of that. You should have shown us, CGI, the actor younger, and show us, him almost dying on a bunch of missions that he knew ahead of time were stupid. Show us him taking those missions and voicing those opinions about the plan being stupid and giving his own plan for how he would achieve the same goal, just so that the stupid client is like, no, we're going to do it my way, and you're going to do it or I'm not going to pay you. Show us that. And then have him slowly transition into being this kingpin benefactor of bounty hunters. All right? I see what they were trying to do. They just went about it wrong. But, I have the, I have Bo-Katan. I have the off-color Bo-Katan. I had the original one, but that one is just so much more eye-catching. I wish that was just her actual costume. I resculpted her hair, but I wish she had, that dark blue, undersuit to go with the armor. I love that. I also redid her shoulder pad. To be accurate to that last Mandalorian series. I have my Ezra, which I don't know that I'm even going to finish, because now they're putting him out. I don't like the way his face looks on that new figure. But that's because I think they missed the paint on his eyes. I think they did what Marvel Legends does a lot, where they painted the eyelashes inside the sculpt of the eyelids. Because that actor has very large eyes, and they accentuated it with the contacts. And so he's got this unnatural looking set of eyes. And I definitely want my figure to capture that. That was originally on a Kenobi body. So I think those are Boba Fett, lower arms. And that was a custom sculpted head. I had a different head on him originally. It was just, the last Ezra head we got, but I sculpted his hair and beard. I have IG-11 back there. I think he's 12 there, but I'm waiting to see if they give us an actual IG-11. I don't know if they're going to go back and do that. But right now my plan is I'm waiting to see if that happens. If it takes long enough, I'm just going to put a cover over that chest and just make him IG-11 or 13 or whatever he is now. I don't know that fixing him should change his number, it made sense when it's no, he's just a drone now. You can see that Mandalorian helmet back there. I've got that on a stick. That was supposed to be the original Mandalore helmet. You have Sabine. She's been repainted. Hera, Chopper. I got some of those little guys. That's my favorite thing, honestly. That's one of my favorite things from the time period that the sequel trilogies made. Is because those feel so Star Wars. Those little Muppet-looking like little welders and droid fixers. That's great. I love those guys. We got Enoch, just because I love the design. I love the design of those new stormtroopers. They're so cool. The Roman influence, the gold being added to them. They look like broken and refixed Roman statues, and it's great. I have a Quill. That's like the 5th Quill I've owned, because I keep using him for customs. I keep buying him for customs. In fact, the last one that was in my actual collection was like Bo-Katan, that off-color, retro-looking one. I got Saw Gerrera, who originally appeared in the Clone Wars, and I followed his story all the way through. I really like his story, the comparison of the Rebellion's own version of Darth Vader, this crazy extremist going out and blowing up stuff in the Empire. It justifies characters like Darth Vader being seen as needed to fight the Rebellion, because on one side of the Rebellion, you have peaceful characters, and on the other side of the Rebellion, you have Saw Gerrera, who's blowing up literally everything. I have Ahsoka. Ahsoka, I swapped out her legs with a Shuri, mostly because, why would I want a Shuri? But her legs were small and thin, and they were pinless, and I was able to... actually, they might not be pinless. Doesn't matter, because these ones aren't all flexy or anything, but I put fabric pants over them, cover them up. I used her actual boots, cut them off, reattached them on the Shuri legs. So, I got my Din Djarin. I had originally swapped out his legs with G.I. Joe legs to get the double jointed knees back. They ended up breaking down over time. I tried to retain a lot of articulation, and it didn't end up working with the legs I chose. I might try it again later, because I hate the single jointed legs on the Star Wars Black Series. And it doesn't look like it's going to change, because all of the reviewers, all the big reviewers reviewing Star Wars, are advocating for less articulation. And I don't understand. It's like, sure, if you think it looks better, fine. If you think, off the top of my head, I'm thinking of Landspeeder Luke. And I've made comments under his videos before asking him to stop advocating for that. But the reason he advocates for that is because when he puts them on his shelf, he just stands them on his little hexagon stands. He poses them the one time and he puts it on his shelf, and that's it. And so the single jointed knees look better from the front. And so that's all he's looking for. But Black Series doesn't know how to do them. You end up with them being too low. So you have extra long thighs with the knee attached to it, and the lower legs don't bend enough to, it just looks bad. It looks bad. And on top of that, these are the same price as Marvel Legends. People want to rag on Marvel Legends. You're still getting all your articulation over at Marvel Legends. They're not taking points of articulation away and keeping the price the same. Black Series is doing that. And I've heard the arguments, unique sculpts, and it's like, no, they're using a lot more overlays now. So they're not using as unique a sculpts as you think half the time. Oh, but all the paint hits. Yeah, but still not as much as these figures need. Okay? I mean, Boba Fett looks great, right? But I painted him. He was just green. Granted, that Boba Fett, that's a custom. I replaced his legs and everything. I wanted him to look like Book of Boba Fett, so he's completely customized. But the single jointed knees don't work on every character. And if you're going to take away half the articulation points, then that should be reflected in the price. Stop letting them charge you the same amount for this stuff. You know, I understand that statement is bad. Every reviewer says that, and it's not going to stop people from buying figures. People who want, like Hondo, are going to buy Hondo, whether he's got single-jointed limbs or not. You know? Period. That's just going to happen. I'm not telling you not to buy the stuff. I'm saying complain about it more. I'm saying complain every time Hasbro has a live stream and they're showing off all of these figures. Complain about the single joints. Bombard them with single joint complaints. It's like, hey, I know you think it looks better aesthetically, but if you're going to keep the price the same, then we either need the same amount of articulation we've always gotten for the price, or you need to lower the price. All right? If these figures are normally $25, if you take away several points of articulation, like the hip swivel, you know, the thigh swivel, like a double jointed knee, like boot swivel, if you're going to take all those joints away, that should be reflected in the price. Period. Anyway, you know, because as much as I want a new Darth Vader, I know that if they ever make a new mold instead of using the same one they've used for the last, 15 years, that it's going to be single jointed knees. You know, maybe the figure looks better, but I don't know if I'm willing to sacrifice it. Granted, on Darth Vader just kind of stands there. Okay, I get it on him. But when you have Jedi that cannot bend their leg all the way, there's a problem. Because some people want to put them on flight stands. Some people want to have them actually leaping. Plo Koon is a custom that is absolutely not finished. In fact, he's not even like together. Those are G.I. Joe legs. I'm probably not going to use those particular legs for him. I'm trying to make a Clone Wars version of Plo Koon, and I'm just trying to get, you know, looking for better legs for him right now. I've got some Acolyte lower arms on him for this armor piece. I originally was hoping, because I know that he never wore the yellow robes, but as soon as they showed off those yellow robes for that older time period, I was like, Plo Koon would look great in that. But none of the Acolyte bodies, that was the only reason I bought Acolyte figures, and from my Walmart, those were the only ones that sold. So it was very funny to me going in there, you know, week after week, and seeing that the only two that were missing were the ones I bought. But neither of the bodies were big enough. I have most of the parts sitting in a bin now. I don't know what to do with them. So I had to keep Plo Koon's original parts. So eventually I'm going to fix that. I got this holiday Mandalorian. This showed up at Ollie's recently. I'm planning on acetoning the starships, like the sweater pattern off of there, and just having a blue Mandalorian. You know, I got Axe Woves. I got Maul. Maul is one of my favorite Star Wars characters, specifically because of the Clone Wars. They gave him so much more personality. If you just watch the first movie, Maul is not an interesting character. He doesn't talk. He doesn't do, he comes in, he looks scary, and that's it. Which is another complaint with Boba Fett. Boba Fett, you know, again, most overrated character in all of Star Wars. He shows up for a little bit, doesn't even have any lines, gets thrown in the Sarlacc pit, but everybody thinks he's the best. So, Cad Bane, you know, and I've picked up most of the Mandalorians. I had Casca Reeves. I used her for something. I have to get her again. You know, Black Chrysanthemum. Echo is only here because I picked him up to do something with him, and I haven't figured out what to use that body for, so he's standing here until I figure it out. Same with Dengar. I picked him up because he's cheap. You know, Ollie's Star Wars figures are $5 now. So I went ahead and just picked him up because we've still got like 30 of him. And I have, by the way, because my Grogu, you'll notice, is I sculpted that body entirely to fit in there. But I have lots of all of my Star Wars accessories. There's MODOK's face. Star Wars accessories over here that I've made or collected. You know, I have the Pedro Pascal head that they've given us, but I hate it. I know that my custom one that I was using before that isn't accurate, but it looks better. I have a Favreau head from Marvel Legends. I haven't drilled it in to put it on the Heavy Mandalorian yet, on Vizsla. And I also made a sculpt of the actor who plays the body actor for Vizsla. And I have all of this going on. So I think that's good for Star Wars.